Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Camo. I'm Director of Content for T3 Live. I'm here with my three best friends in the universe, Derrick Goldensmith, J.R. Romero, and Sami Abu Saab, because, of course, Jerome Powell, in about 2 hours, is going to do his best to ruin our day. So we figure we might as well get together and talk about everything that's going on. So, boys, how's everybody doing today?
Fantastic.
Living the dream.
Doing great. Loaded up on Tesla. We'll see. We'll find out shortly.
Okay, we are going to talk about Tesla today, everybody, because my hero, Tim Walz, who should have been not vice president, he should have been president, insulted Tesla. So that's a very unkind thing. So, of course, that will come up. Okay, so I think obviously we should start with the Fed. So, JR, we'll start. Since you have an open house this week, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. See if we can embarrass you a little bit. Do you have any idea what's going to happen today? I mean, everybody assumes no cuts today. They're going to babble about the rest of the year, maybe 1 or 2 cuts. Do you have any take on what could happen today?
Look, the Fed futures are now intimating a very low possibility of a May cut, and I think we're going to get, avuncular conciliatory Jerome praising the strength of the economy and trying to calm down the markets. I think that's most likely the more sedated Jerome we're going to get. I don't think we're going to get Wrath of God Jerome Powell, holding the staff of Moses, shooting laser beams. I think we're going to get a more conciliatory Jerome Powell today.
Okay, if anybody in the audience, if anybody knows what avuncular means, please let us know so we don't have to look it up. Okay, JR, please stop using those fancy Ivy League words. I'm too stupid. I don't understand. Okay, Derrick, how about you? Do you think there's anything special could happen today?
I think it's primarily going to be a nothing burger. There's going to be no change in interest rates. The big look through is going to be on their economic outlook. I think the expectation is that they are going to indicate in their economic outlook that there is going to be an expectation of higher inflation and lower growth. I think one of the notes I read is like 0.3 percentage points or whatever of an increase in expectation in inflation, and the exact same amount, but as a decrease in growth. So that's also what the market's priced in this market correction, right? We've priced in the fact that there's a potential of some degree of stagflation that might come in. I actually don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen, but that's what the market has been pricing in. And then the other thing to pay attention for, I just think, is on quantitative tightening related to the Fed's balance sheet. If they continue to do kind of a roll off of the balance sheet, or if they stop that. So there's some language that they might look to end the quantitative tightening that's coming from what they're doing with the balance sheet as soon as now. Probably more likely they give an indication that they're going to do that in the summer.
Okay, well, let's get into a little bit about reactions. Sridhar is asking, is it Derrick Longsmith or Shortsmith today? We will get into that. Last week we renamed Derrick. Derrick is now Derrick the Optimist. Okay, Sami, let's talk a little bit about the overall market feel. Things have definitely been sloppy. All the Mag 7 names are down this year. So many of the leaders have been torn apart. Does it feel like the market is bracing for a big move?
Well, what if I said that? I don't know. I'm not really sure, because it's one of those times when the pullback, the sell-off that we got wasn't climactic. Didn't go climactic. Wasn't like one of those where you would expect a big bounce back, because we would drop, try to go higher, and then drop. Those usually last a long time. So I'm not really sure if the market is going to be like over the coming weeks and months, if this is going to be I'm not sure what kind of market this is. What I am sure about is the short term more than the long term, but I'm not really sure about the long term. We'll find out pretty soon because we got like a higher low today in the market. So if that fails, then that should tell us we're lower in the medium term. But I talked about in the room today, and actually yesterday I talked about in the room how if you look at the hourly chart of the SPY, am I projecting, by the way? I know it's maybe too
I
soon.
can pull up.
What's that?
Oh, stupid StreamYard is. All right. Yep. You're on the
Okay.
screen.
So I talked about in the room yesterday how if you look at the SPY, if you look at the Qs, doesn't matter, hourly chart. So ignore today. So if I can just like hide today, I said, this drop on the daily chart might end up being a shakeout. So if this is the bottom, which to me it looked like it was supposed to be the bottom, and so yesterday's bar I wasn't expecting it, but I said if this was going to be the bottom, then if you look at the hourly chart, that's a pullback. That's nothing but a pullback. So I went down to the 15-minute chart and I said long if we take out the base, basically, and short if we take out the base on the 15-minute. So I think this daily chart is higher. I think this was a shakeout in the market. This yesterday's bar was a shakeout, and that we are higher at least to the 200 MA on the daily chart, and then maybe the declining 20 will catch up by that time. The same with the Qs, same exact, has more room. Same exact thing with Tesla. In fact, you would know, Mike, I have a call on the Tesla in the newsletter today as an idea long over yesterday's high, stop under today's low. Reason being is that I'm saying if this was the bottom, this is going to be the higher low. This was a shakeout, basically. So we'll see if this pans out, but I'm assuming the market bottomed, and I'm assuming we're higher to about here in the market, in Tesla, whatever names you want to use, the SPY, the Qs. I'm assuming we're higher, but in the longer term, do I know whether we're higher and we're gonna go right back up? I don't know, because this sell-off was not continuous. If it was continuous, I would say yes, we're higher and we should, this should be a longer term bottom. But we dropped, tried to go higher, dropped, tried to go higher, failed. So there's going to be a lot of resistance on the way back up. So the easiest thing to do is to wait. The best thing to do, I think, is to wait, to let this one go maybe. And then if this buy setup fails on the weekly chart, then we're much lower. If it works, then this was the low. So I'm not buying the market or the Qs, but I did load up on Tesla today, and who knows? We'll find out probably by this afternoon whether this was a good idea or a bad idea. So we'll see.
Okay, let everybody who's watching out there on Twitter and YouTube and elsewhere, let us know in the chat, are you bullish or bearish headed into the FOMC today? And just so it said, I don't know is a perfectly valid answer to any question. This isn't CNBC where we have to cast bulls and bears to play particular roles. So it's okay to not know. This is real life. Okay, so Sami brought up Tesla. Now, I have a theory that I'm going to float by. Now, we know that Sami likes Tesla. So I'm going to float a theory by Derrick and JR that today is the Tim Walz bottom in Tesla. I don't know if everybody saw my hero, Tim Walz, was on stage basically celebrating Tesla stock going down, which feels like a contrary indicator. So, Derrick, I'll go to you first. What do you think of Tesla over here?
So I think that Tesla is due for a significant bounce from here. That's assuming that the market gives follow through, basically what Sami was just saying. And I am looking for the market to give upside follow through. We'll see what happens with the Fed today. That might determine. I mean, Sami's analysis, by the way, was spot on that higher low. The degree of the pullback yesterday really surprised me. But I do still think that the risk right now is to the upside. That's what I'm positioned for. I'm still Derrick Longsmith this week. But as far as Tesla goes, if you get the market continuation, I think Tesla actually should be an outperformer and a leader in that market bounce. So seeing Tesla get back to 250 to even as high as 280 within the confines of a market bounce, I think is very, very possible. I'm not buying it. I got 25 long positions or so on right now. There's plenty of other things that I would rather buy. I still think that the company is set to implode, but even if the thing works its way down to $150, which I think is a very reasonable long-term target, it's the nature of this stock to have really big moves along the way. It's not. I'm actually surprised that it's been more or less straight down from 360 to 225 or whatever this recent low has been, with barely any bounces. Just because the nature of the stock, you should get some really, really big bounces along the way. That for a good strategic trader, if you can combine that with a market setup, you could take advantage of that. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see a $40 bounce in Tesla. But then I think that eventually that's a pivot high that is shortable. And I'm more interested actually in leaning into the short when the bounce comes than I am trying to buy this thing for the bounce, because the company's still expensive. The fundamentals are deteriorating. The PE for the amount of growth that the company is giving is bad. It's the weakest stock that's out there, which is part of the reason why it should give the biggest bounce. But it's one of the weakest stocks that's out there, and it is for good reason. The company is fundamentally imploding.
Okay, yeah. As I see it, Tesla is the weakest stock in the S&P 500 this year. So, JR, do you agree with Derrick and Tim Walls?
Yes, Captain. What on Tesla? Oh, there's sometimes you just have to wait. Okay, like my parents used to always tell me, some days you just have to be patient. We got 8 trading sessions left till April 2nd, right? That's the big tariff deadline. I think a lot of things are going to resolve there. I think you're getting a technical bounce. I'm sharing my chart. Can you just pop me up for a second? Okay. I think it's as simple as this. Not to be the Luddite in the room. Hold on a second. I think it's as simple as this. Where I completely agree with Sami's analysis. It's the same thing I've been telling my traders. Okay, you're going to get a bounce here, a 2-wave corrective bounce back to that confluence of the 200 and the 21. The question is, are you building a C leg to an ABCD lower, which is highly likely if we miff on the tariffs, okay? And then you're looking at a nasty leg too past 54.70, which is like, this level for me is the line in the sand. And then you're looking at exploring 2024's value area low around 52.60, right? That could happen, or are we going to resolve in a more amicable way and maybe get the extra bump from the Zelensky Putin melodrama, okay, and that turns into a bromance, and we get a 3-legged corrective move back to 58.60. I think you just have to wait, and in the meantime, you're a day trader, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's lots of money to be made every day. So toughen up, Kamo. That's my thought.
Toughen up.
Toughen up.
Toughen up. You have. No
I'm hearing a
idea
lot of
what
complainers. I'm hearing a lot of, oh my God, JR.
Do you have
This
any
market
idea?
is so hard.
You have any
I feel like
idea?
telling them, when I was your age, I was trading Tesla barefoot. And I don't say that.
You have any idea of what it's like being a buy and hold investor in Tesla? I own 5 whole shares of the stock.
Listen,
On any given day, I could lose $50.
NVIDIA, a trained monkey knew to short NVIDIA the minute Jensen Huang went live. Okay, we murdered that short.
Look at it. Look at JR changing as soon as I express my feelings. JR changes the subject. Typical.
I'm not
okay, JR, go on.
Feelings, especially yours. Anyway, so there's opportunities in this market everywhere. You have to really focus on the few things that are moving correctly and ignore the noise. And definitely don't try to predict in a market like this. I mean, it's a very, very difficult market to try to make any sense of. Just trade the chart that's in front of you, trade the strength or the extreme strength or weakness, and filter out the rest of the noise. That's it.
Okay. All right. So, JR, since you brought up NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Since you rudely interrupted me and brought up NVIDIA.
Sorry, Daddy.
Do you think, anything, the dog was fun, but did any of that crap matter yesterday with NVIDIA?
There was a dog? Oh, the Wally looking. These things are going to kill us all. That's the first thing I'll say. That's like, this doesn't end well. I've seen too many sci-fi movies. No, look, NVIDIA has been in a holding pattern, okay? between 118. It's got a call wall at 120 and another one at 130, and support at 113. And it's just going to be in a holding pattern until something interesting happens.
Cool.
That's all I have to say.
All right. Remember, I don't know is a valid answer. Sami, how about you? You have any thoughts on NVIDIA?
I don't even know what the chart looks like, tell you the truth. I'll check right now. Hold on. I truly don't. NVIDIA is just a mess, but it does have a sell setup on the daily chart, so I don't like it long at all. It looks like a short, but it's tough. So it becomes a short if we take out 114.50 on the NVIDIA. I think it's a short. I mean, based on the daily chart, the weekly doesn't look bullish, and the monthly topped out for now. So I think it's a short under 114.50. But is it something that I would do? No, I wouldn't do it. So those are my thoughts on the NVIDIA. It's right here, short under this bar's low, under yesterday's low. But I don't like it. It's sloppy.
Isn't it crazy how fast Sami did that? It was like in like 8 microseconds, he already had the answer.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not talking about the fundamentals. I just look at the chart and I tell you what I see, immediately. I don't need to, I don't need to know what NVIDIA actually does for a living. I mean, what they're in the business of doing. I just, you just look at the chart, and the chart is your Bible, your truth. So, and that's what I rely on. That's what I use. The only thing that I use.
We need to get you the Jensen Huang leather jacket, Sami.
I probably have one of those. It's just that I don't wear
Nice.
leather jackets anymore. But yeah, I probably have one of those from a few years ago.
All right.
I gotta say, I do like Sami's shirt a lot this week. We just got to get a cowboy hat on him, get him out
There
to
you
Idaho
go.
with me and JR, and we'll
Yeah,
be,
man, you'll fit right in.
wrestling some cows. It'll be great.
Grow a
I
mullet
love-
or two.
I love Idaho, so yeah.
It is strange how there is this like very slow T3 takeover of Idaho.
I wouldn't mind moving there.
Beautiful, man.
Do they have good pizza there?
Generally, no.
It's funny. Every time I think about a place like that, I always think somebody should open a bagel store here, and could make a killing.
There is an okay bagel store, but you're gonna get me on a whole tangent. I'm a big pizza snob. I'm a really, really big pizza snob, and you're gonna get me going off. We should be talking about NVIDIA.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna tell you about how the PPG's pizza place here in Idaho is so trash, but all the local people think it's the best thing since sliced bread because they've never had a real slice of New York City pizza in their whole life. Like, don't even get me started. But
Okay. Okay, so no. We sorry, we're gonna have to interrupt you because there was a meltdown in the Momentum Express VTF this morning over pineapple pizza. So we're gonna try not to be judgmental. I don't think it should be
You should see the first time I took my kids out for bagels in Idaho. They were like, "Dad, this is a loaf of bread with a hole in it. Get me the hell out of here." It's a New York thing. You got to be from New York to.
I like NVIDIA's relative strength. I think the chart's sloppy, but I like the relative strength that it's shown compared to the Qs and compared to the other Mag 7 stocks over the course of the last handful of days. And I think that in a market bounce, if that happens, which is what I'm looking for, that NVIDIA continues to give that relative strength. And just from market help alone, combined with some relative strength, that you could see this thing back to 125 to 130.
What
That's
setup
exactly
do you
what
see?
I said today.
That's the issue. I
pattern?
think that the chart itself is actually fairly sloppy. I mean, it's a little bit of like a wedge pattern that's building out. So I don't like NVIDIA's chart itself. I don't have a position in it. But if you compare, let me do the screen share thing.
You're right. Slight relative strength. I agree.
I've been day trading it almost every day. So I know you mentioned that you haven't even been looking at it. I day traded a little bit today. I've been having success day trading this thing a lot recently, but I haven't had it as a bigger picture trade. Again, basically, if you just look at this low here on March 11th and you look at the degree of the bounce and you compare that to the QQQ, there's relative strength that's there. If you compare this chart to basically any other Mag 7 stock that's out there. Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, maybe a little bit better on Microsoft, definitely Tesla. This is the most relatively strong of these Mag 7 stocks. So I don't see a setup in and of itself, but for me, a lot of the way that I trade, especially in these periods of time where we're getting faster, bigger movements, is I start with the index. And I like the index for higher. Like I said, I think that the risk is to the upside here for the SPYs and the Qs. We did get to the lower target of my bounce, which I was looking for, which is 570. But I think that bounce could actually extend to as high as 578 to 582. That's really what I'm looking for. And even though there's not a particular setup in NVIDIA in the chart in and of itself that I'm in love with right now, maybe it needs to build out a little bit. I think that if the market continues to move higher, the relative strength that this has shown in the initial bounce continues through just with it, and it works the stock up to, like I said, 125 to 130, just as a play along with the market itself. So that's what I'm looking at. If you want, I'm happy to talk about this market again, just really quick. So the key term here is market dynamics. How did we know that this was going to be a false breakout up here? Because the market dynamics said so, and the sell-off started on OPEX. No surprise at all. Last week, I was turning increasingly bullish. We said that historically on March 14th is when inflows typically return to the market. Well, where's our first real rally that's come in the entirety of this 10% correction? When did it start? It started on March 14th. That's not a coincidence. We got a really nice bounce back. We have this potential higher low. The degree of the selling yesterday, especially in the morning, kind of took me a little bit off guard, being totally honest, but now we're back above it. We've negated it. If we can get back above this 570, the market dynamics are such right now that the upside can feed on itself very easily in a bounce. The CTAs have turned short $30 billion worth of stock. The more we move up, the more we have to buy. We're in a very low liquidity environment. SPX top of book liquidity is like 3.7 million right now compared to a historical average of near 13 million. So when you got low liquidity, negative upside gamma, CTAs that could be forced to buy, the risk is to the upside, but we actually have to move higher in order for that feedback cycle to begin to work on itself and feed its way higher. And I think that a lot of this is going to depend actually on the Fed. If the Fed works out well today and we're able to boost higher, that can really, really feed on itself. And if it doesn't, then we could be just looking at a failure to bounce to really where my expectations were. But that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm positioned for. And I just think that most things, most Mag 7 stocks, most growth names, as much as I'm a hater on Tesla, even Tesla, all give really, really big bounce backs within the confines of that market bounce. And then we can reassess once they, like anyone who missed this down move and is starting to try to short at 565, when we get to 580 and they're pulling their hair out and they're blowing themselves out of their short, then I think we can reassess on whether or not there's just a continuation of rotation out of US equities into Europe, China, into bonds that create additional weakness, or maybe you even see like a spot down, vol down type of grind lower over time. But one step at a time. Let's see how this resolves itself. If we lose yesterday's low, I think it's problematic technically, but I think if we can begin to break higher, that could feed up on itself in a pretty big way.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask each of you guys one very important question. Before we get to ideas, and I need a yes or no answer with no explanations, no caveats, nothing, just yes or no. So JR, we'll start with you. Is it okay to put pineapple on pizza?
No.
Sami, how about you?
It's an American. I won't have it.
No explanations. It's yes or no.
Yes, because it actually tastes good. I don't know.
Okay, Derrick, how about you?
But
yes, but then it's not pizza. You need to reclassify it.
Oh my God. Oh man, this is really good.
I have to say I haven't had one of those in probably 15 years. So when I first tried it, I thought it tasted good, but what do I know now? I mean, I don't know if I still like it.
I like pineapple generally speaking. I take more issue with the ham on it than the pineapple on it, to be totally honest. But you know, the real test of any pizza place is its cheese slice. That's all that matters. You got to have the cheese slice, Then you could try your specialty slices, but you make your judgment on the cheese slice.
Do you know where the highest rated pizza place in the country is, or was a few years ago? Here in Berkeley, California. And it's called Cheese Board is the name of the place. I don't think there's a single table to sit. Like you see the line out the door, and it's just amazing. And they don't sell, all they sell is, at least they used to only sell no toppings, just like you said, just a cheese board. That's it. And the thing is phenomenal. But anyways, Mike, let's get to trading now.
All right,
Gotta go. Come on.
Next week we will talk Chicago pizza. We are going to go down that hole. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, Sami.
Yes.
I can tell Sammy's itching to get out of here. So, Sami, we know you like Tesla. Is there anything else in the universe you like right here?
Yes. So, to tell you the truth, I picked up 2,500 shares of Tesla. So, I have a huge position. When I looked at it, it was $692,000 worth of Tesla. So, it's a do or die for me on Tesla. So we'll see what that does. When Derrick was going over the Mag 7, I noticed that I'm sharing the screen. Am I not?
Yes.
I noticed that Amazon has a cute little setup, which is what this bar broke yesterday's low or yesterday's bar broke under that little base, and now if we take out this bar's high, we should generate the bounce. The thing about it, I like the setup a lot right here. The thing is, we have all these overlapping candles. We have all that resistance above. So, probably not a good idea on Amazon, even though I like that setup, which is if a stock breaks support and the very next day, the bar that breaks support gets taken out, it's almost always an entry, like a re-entry, almost always. I remember the DPST, but there's not just the DPST. There's a million of these that I've seen and have done. Back here, I don't know, this watermark thing is just, let me just get rid of it, see if I can get rid of it. Sorry, one second. Where's the watermark? It's annoying. It's in the way. All right. I guess I'm not gonna be able to get rid of it, so I'll just. Is that it?
I just saw it under. I don't know.
Yeah. Where is it?
It was under. Well, let's just get through the ideas.
All right. Well, because it's there it is, symbol watermark. So get rid of that thing. So here it is. It's the idea is this is like truly one of my favorite entries of all time. If basically if a stock or whatever, in this case it's the DPST, breaks some good support, and then the bar that broke support, that bar the next day gets taken out. The next day, it can't be 2-3 days later. The very next day it gets taken out. That's 100% of the time a re-entry or an entry. So here's the DPST, broke support. The next day, that bar that broke support got taken out. The day after, 42% move. But I went back to the DPST from a while ago because it's just what came to mind when I looked at the Tesla. When I looked at the Amazon chart, we see this all the time. If a stock breaks support and then the very next day that breakout, that bar that broke support gets taken out, it means it was a shakeout. So it's a re-entry 100% of the time. Okay, so what is it that I like? I have 3,800, 3,700 shares of the YMM. As a disclaimer, I'm bullish on China. I have a bunch of shares in a lot of the symbols here that I'm about to go over. I like the China stocks higher still. I have 1,000 shares of the CWeb. But we'll see. So I like the China stocks higher. So CWeb, yen, leveraged ETFs, okay? But I like them higher if we can take out yesterday's high with a stop under today's low. It's a swing entry because you're far from the 20. Longer term entries need to be at or near the 20 on the daily or the weekly or the monthly. But in this case, this would be a swing entry. So you got the YMM looks beautiful above actually Monday's high, it looks like. And then with a stop under this bar's low, yesterday's low. The yen, similar, we talked about. The TAL, maybe not, ignore the TL for now. I do have the TL also. LU as a long-term play, but we need to see it produce some follow-through. Look at the weekly on this. That's the garbage pattern that you talk about, Mike. right? So I like the LU, excuse me, as a longer term play. Those are China stocks. And then back to US stocks. Tesla we talked about already. Here's a beautiful setup on the PRCH on the daily chart, but also on the monthly. Looks really pretty. So I like the PRCH long with a stop under the lows here. Let's take a look. MPW is a real estate stock. It's been basing. Look at the monthly, looks beautiful. The weekly looks even better. It just needs to take out 615, I think, like this bar's high. That's 611. So I'm waiting for it to take out 611 basically to play long. I like the MP, I believe, on the daily chart. Let's take a look at it. That's a beautiful pattern. I'm already in it. It triggered today, but hasn't gone anywhere. Stop under yesterday's low. Let's see what else. HRTX been in it since the earnings play that day. It looks really, really good longer term. That's the monthly. There's the weekly. So, some of the things that, like when I play something as an earnings play and I like it longer term, I just keep the position. So that's the HRTX. DG might be bottoming, especially if you look at the monthly. I mean, that's a pretty good spot to be buying the DG, I think, on the monthly chart. Here's the weekly. Doesn't look too bad. And here's the daily. So not great, but not too bad. I'm pretty sure the CVS bottomed. Do I love the base breakout? Maybe not, because it's not a tight stop. But I'm pretty sure the CVS bottomed on the monthly chart. So I like the CVS. And then the CELH, it's already too late as a 1, 2, 3. It was supposed to be over this bar's high, which is 30.93. So it's late by about 40 cents. AGNC, last symbol that I got for you, is looking really good on the monthly chart, is another real estate stock. But it likes to take its time. I mean, this is the REITs. That's what I don't like about them, is they sometimes take a long time before they get going. But I really like that monthly chart. So, figure out a way in it once the shorter term, which is the daily chart, lines up with the monthly. So I'm just waiting for a bit here until it looks better on the daily. But I like the monthly. And those are the items that I like, basically.
Awesome, Sami. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Derrick, we'll move on to you. Anything you said you're long a ton of stuff right now. So, somebody even asked before. So, what do you like the most up here?
Sure. So I think what the market goes, what will lead with that bounce is some Mag 7 stocks and some growth stocks, particularly a short basket list of stocks, things that are heavily shorted. A lot of these growthy names that have been in play, like a Robinhood should be able to give a bounce back. Maybe a Hims gives a bounce back. OKLO maybe gives a decent bounce back into the low 30s. I actually like energy a lot as a kind of a separate trade. You're chasing here a little bit right now, so maybe wait for it to reset up. But being above $91 for XLE, I think, is really important. Chevron looks phenomenal. This thing just broke out yesterday through this 160 area. It's given great continuation today. Again, I don't love the idea of a new entry at 163.40 right now. If you're just looking at this chart for the first time, probably wait for it to reset up. Maybe you can get a retest of this 160, hold previous resistance and support to give you an entry, or this VAL. If you want to participate in the drill baby drill concept, this would be a name to do it in. You had this capitulatory bottom down here on high volume at the beginning of the month. It's shown some good strength recently. Then it broke up through this $38 resistance. Now it's getting through 40. Again, you're chasing a little bit, but I like energy broadly speaking. But with the bigger bounce that I'm looking for in the short term, growth names, Mag 7 names, I think AMD, which has been a heck of a dog, is finally starting to look a little bit better. It was able to clear back above this 102 resistance. It's currently testing this brutal downtrend line that it's been in. So if this thing can clear up with a little bit of an inside and up here, give some continuation of that strength, it could be beginning to break that downtrend, and then you could get a nice snapback in this name along with the market to anywhere from 110 to 120. We'll take it as it comes. So that's one that I'm liking more and more right now. But I've got a position in the SoFi, looking for this in that growth category to be able to snap back, similar but different with this PayPal if it can break up. I got a position in this NBIS, which is a growthy name, to see if it can break up. I'm in this S. This had earnings pretty recently. They hit it down on that earnings report, but now it's fully recovered on that. I think that underneath the surface on that earnings report, it was not too bad at all. And names like Unity that I'm in, it's not a great looking chart right now. But again, if the market can give that follow through, this is an if then statement. These types of stocks, I think, really overshoot to the upside and give you that big bounce. So yeah, there's a bunch of things I like. I like that Amazon chart here that Sami was just going over as well. I don't have a position in this one right now, but I'm eyeing it. So it's interesting to see that just yesterday, even though the Qs didn't break new recent March lows, Amazon did, Meta did, Google did. So we'll see if those things can snap back and reclaim some of those levels. Google is apparently trying to do it right now. Amazon's having a very boring day, but it's doing it. Meta, for whatever reason, is just a lot heavier right now and isn't breaking up in the same way. But yeah, again, starting with the market, I'm looking to see if we can get a feedback cycle of up to the upside here that could be a little bit violent and rip the face off on some of these people that are shorting this bounce back too early. And those names I just went over could be leaders within that bounce back.
Derrick, what do you think of MPLX? You like energy. What do you think of MPLX?
MPLX? I haven't really looked at this one before. The chart looks phenomenal.
Needs to base maybe a little bit, but it's looks really strong, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. If this thing could go side, like I love when you have this like bull flagish type pattern that then builds out like a further bullish consolidation right in front of the resistance, like this has started to do here these last couple of days. So this looks great if it can go sideways maybe for 1 or 2 more days here. Let's see, you may catch up a little bit and then break through that resistance. Love it.
Venmo me $5.
No, I'll buy you a slice of pizza.
Fair deal.
Okay, all right. JR, we got the pineapple pizza loving weirdos out of the way. Anything you like up here?
Nah. Everything I like is already gone. Can I show you my chart?
If you wish.
All right.
If anybody from StreamYard is listening, you really screwed up the platform.
All right, so I like tests on Sunday night during our we do a Sunday night call with all of our traders to go over trades for the weekend. I said really like the Hess here through $42 for a flat top break on the weekly. It's a beautiful trending chart. Nice base breakout there on the weekly and the daily, and I'm looking for pullbacks. Tesla, I'm stalking that shakeout hammer off the 200, 253.37 on the weekly. I think it looks great for a very strong technical bounce. I've been day trading it every day like a mofo. It's been really fun to trade Tesla on this bounce. Uber, you have a 2-wave corrective into anchored VWAP and the 200-day. I think you're due for a bounce here and a buy setup on the weekly. Checkpoint. Triggering an inside bar breakout on the daily here for a bigger base breakout on the weekly, and I think you get a $30-$40 measured move. I think it's time to look at GEV again. This was obviously overdone into the 430. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I think it may be time on the hourly to take another shot at it. KRMN, we went long. This week on the weekly breakout through whatever 34 or something, 33.21, and I'm looking for $40. I think this one is going to give us a lot of opportunities. ALHC already triggered also. This is what's frustrating about this market. Most of the things I like just triggered on Monday already. OKTA, if you get through this weekly 200 and you press through 116.5, I mean, this looks like another Sami monthly chart. I think you get another 20, 30 points upside in this Octa. Were you in this, Sami?
I had an idea on it on that buy setup in the newsletter, but I didn't take it because I didn't think the market was ready. It shot up anyway.
Yeah, crazy.
But yes, I agree. The Octa is, I mentioned it on Benzinga last week or the week before. it's looking good on the monthly. I totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah, so a few ideas. Well, again, I think we've got an expiration date. It's like 10 trading or 8 trading sessions till April 2nd, and then we'll see what happens after that. We'll just have to wait and see.
It's not, as Derrick and JR mentioned, it's not an easy market to it's not an easy market to make a call on and say this is the bottom and for sure we're higher from here on out. It's not that kind of market. It's because of the way we dropped. It wasn't a continuous drop. So I'm not expecting the bounce to be smooth sailing on the way up. I'm not expecting the bounce to be, unidirectional bounce back up. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to take time before we really know for sure whether we're higher or lower. So when the market starts to bounce, and that gives you a reference point. So with yesterday's low becomes a reference point, a pivot. If we break it, then that's a signal that we are lower still. Now, the fact that we popped doesn't mean today. I haven't even been watching the market. I'm not even in my office. I'm in my living room here, for crying out loud. So if the market moves up from here, okay, how much room does it have? Do we go all the way back up? Probably not. We have room to the 20 MA and the 200 MA on the daily chart. But after that, you have to wait and see how the market reacts to resistance. And then that tells us, the way the market reacts to resistance, that tells us whether we're higher or lower. That would tell us whether it's higher or lower. But it's one step at a time. It's not the kind of market where, it's easy to call and you just go with it. And it's not that kind of market. So, I'm just watching for reactions and kind of figuring out where support and resistance is and taking it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Yep.
That's all we can do. Okay, everybody, we hope you had fun today. If you want to join Sami's mentorship, the link is down in the description below. So just go into the link description on YouTube and click it. You can join Sami's mentorship if you wish. Beyond that, in 72 minutes, all hell breaks loose. We wish you all the best. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks, guys. No pineapple on pizza.